So one of the things that we've been talking about recently is who is going to be the future of the Democratic Party. And people like Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg and perhaps AOC come up quite a bit. So today I wanted to talk to you guys and ask you your guys' opinions on whether or not you would vote for AOC. And I think that there's a big question when it comes to AOC and the misogyny that is still very rampant within American society. But that being set aside, I think that AOC has a very good way about how she talks to people and communicates. And I think that the left has a real issue with their ability to communicate with the people, with your middle class or lower middle class people. So today I wanted to go into a couple video clips with you guys and take a look at some of the things that just recently AOC said on the Joy Reid show. And I wanted you guys to tell me, would you vote for AOC? So let's take a look at this clip real quick, and then let's get right into it.
Of all the confounding results in this past election, perhaps the strangest phenomenon was the surprising number of people who voted for Democrats down ballot and then checked off Donald Trump for president. That was the case in New York's 14th district. A number of voters cast their ballot for both Trump and one of the House's most progressive Democrats, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, better known as AOC. And while the Democratic Party is still reeling from the results, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is doing something a lot of the D.C. folks aren't doing, which is talking to social media and actually talking to voters to figure out why this happened.
If you voted for Donald Trump and me, or if you voted for Donald Trump and voted Democratic down ballot, I would really love to hear from you. This is not a place of judgment. I'm not gonna put your stuff on blast or anything like that or dunk on it. That's genuinely not the intent here. I actually want to learn from you. I want to hear what you were thinking, and I just want to hear from you.
When AOC first burst onto the scene, I thought she was super intelligent. I thought she was a very passionate person, and I thought she was really personable as well. But I thought that she was a little bit green, pun intended. But since then, over the last few years, we've really seen AOC kind of coming into her adulthood as a politician. Somebody that is capable of hanging in the professional space with these other people. And I think that in many ways, she's kind of reined in some of that passion, but uses it still to continue to motivate her and the people that follow her, the people that voted for her. And one of the really interesting things about AOC was her ability to talk to young people, her ability to reach to the middle class and the lower middle class and talk to them as well. And I think that this interview that she had here with Reid was really good because she really talked about how she reached out to these people through, technological means that exist nowadays that I think the left did not take advantage of. I think that Donald Trump did a good job probably listening to his young children and going out and getting on these influencers podcasts, going on the Joe Rogan podcast, going on the Aiden Ross podcast, something that I myself laughed at, thought, wow, none of these people vote. But I think that we were wrong there. And I think that AOC is a person that is capable of reaching out to these people and speaking to them in a language that they understand. So here's her answer on the question, why did people vote for Trump, but also vote for AOC?
First of all, it's important to note that Democrats, oftentimes when we lose elections, we think that we lost people to Trump. And that is true in circumstances, but they don't look enough at the fact that we also lost people to the couch. Mm-hmm. We have two people that we're running against. So a lot of people say, this is why I voted for you and Trump. And some people say this is why I didn't vote or didn't vote top of the ticket. Right. But when it comes to people who split their ticket, I think a lot of people cited several different things. One is there is universal frustration in this country, much of it, I actually think, justified, that is raging at a political establishment that centers corporate interests, billionaires, and puts their needs ahead of the needs of working Americans.
That's pretty much spot on. Look, I think Trump supporters are batshit crazy for voting for a billionaire and the richest man in the world, all while feeling this way. But to be honest with you, I do not doubt that they do feel this way. The middle class is the engine of America. It supports the social safety nets to the poverty-stricken, and we are the working force that generates revenue for the ultra-wealthy. Without the middle class, you don't have an America, and the middle class is the working class. I think that the main problem here with Democrats is that they didn't speak well to how they were going to do it. Oftentimes, I say, Democrats use way too many words. People on the right want things to be told to them in a very simple manner, and they want to understand it in the way that is very easy to understand. And I think that AOC here does a really good job of doing that. Something that is very prevalent on the right with Donald Trump is an ability to use his charisma and speak in a manner that the people that follow him feel is not talking down to them, but talking to them. I think AOC does that very well. But she speaks a little bit more to it in another clip I'm going to show you right now, where she talks about Donald Trump's messaging through his ads and how it reached those people in a more effective manner than Kamala Harris or her campaign did.
It doesn't matter that he's lying. He's saying that I'm fighting for you. In all of this debate that people are talking about with this woke thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's because we care about trans people, and that's why.
And by the way, only Donald Trump cared about trans people because he was the one running $130 million worth of ads. The Harris campaign said nothing about this issue.
That's right. That's right. And listen, the ads, it's not to even deny the fact that these ads were effective in certain areas. What I think people are paying too much attention to is the first half of that ad, which says Kamala Harris is for they, them. Everyone's focusing on that. They're not focusing on the second half of that ad, where he said Donald Trump is for you.
Yeah.
And Democrats very often in their messaging, they speak in terms and in concepts and not in the second person. I care about you. And political races are not about one candidate versus another candidate. Too often it gets pigeonholed like that. It is a race to convince a person about who cares about you more.
I'm into that. Well, there's not a lot of good things that we can say about losing this election and the 4 years to come. But one of the things that we can look forward to is who is going to take the reins of the Democratic Party and potentially start to create a new idea, a new atmosphere for the Democrats to speak to young people, to speak to young men, to speak to young women, to speak to all of these people that over the next 4 years are going to see what it's like under a Republican government. And I think something that Kamala Harris said in her concession speech is really important. She said, you can only see the brightest stars during the darkest nights. And I think that AOC is going to be one of those brightest stars, to be honest with you. So you guys let me know what you guys think about this. Would you vote for AOC if she were to run for president? And more importantly, do you think Americans would vote for AOC? Because we saw a lot of division in this presidential election that showed that there are still some very disheartening things about America that are still very prevalent, that still exist, and that we don't want to admit to. So you guys let me know. Would you vote for AOC? And do you think that America would as well? Well, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the video, please do so. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope to see you next time.